Welcome back to the Nasty Work Podcast. I am Nia Senior with my amazing co host, as always, Coach Slaw. On today's episode, we're going to ask a crucial question to the audience, to the fans, to the players, honestly, to anybody. And it's, why are you here?
Why? Why?
That's not a rhetorical pause. That's a
It's
why are you
not.
here for real? And so we just want to have a brief discussion today about what is attracting all of these new fans to the W? It's been an ongoing conversation on all of the interwebs on Beyonce's internet about why new fans are here. Some people are attributing it to solely Caitlin Clark. Some are saying, I'm here for Angel Reese. Some are saying, they love the college season and they wanted to tap in. Some people are here for the tea, for the drama, honey, that's been going on. Some people are here for the fits. And some people are here just because they want clout. Women's basketball is on the rise. And so they're like, how can I attach myself to that? How can I be a parasite and gain a little clout from it? So let's just get into it. Let's start it off. I feel like the ongoing conversation on other people's podcasts is clips, TikToks, whatever. Everybody is trying to say that the W fan base has grown because of Caitlin Clark. Coach Law, what are your thoughts on this? Do we think that we can solely attribute this new growth to Caitlin Clark? I think not, but I want to hear what you got to say.
You can't solely contribute the growth to Caitlin Clark. It's been growing since 2019 plus at a rate that's like unprecedented, but you definitely can attribute this last wave that we've seen in the last couple of years very much so to Caitlin Clark, but not just her ability to shoot from three from long distance, to make, clutch plays, incredible moments, and her talent, and how visually that's a great experience for folks, but the type of audience she draws and how privilege plays a role in media and corporations' willingness to invest in that audience's preferences by boosting her coverage, right? Like, you don't
Yeah.
turn on any sports outlet now without hearing Caitlin Clark. You don't tune in to any W game, regardless of who's playing, I've noticed, without mentioning of Caitlin Clark. You
Okay.
see brand after brand after brand, using Caitlin Clark footage or mentioning Caitlin Clark or wanting to work with her because of the audience she draws from middle America and from a very white portion of society. And that's not, uncommon. It's American mainstream media. Like, we've seen this before. It's not a new phenomenon, but it's not racist to say that. It's just the truth.
Fact.
Like, certain demographics are going to get more attention than others. We've been having this conversation for years. We had the same conversation multiple times about Sabrina Ionescu. We've had multiple conversations about Breonna Stewart. We've had conversations, and even they have had them themselves, about Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi and how much, even when Sue Bird retired a couple of years ago, I was very excited to see Sue Bird growing up, and I went to a game, the Atlanta Dream game, when she was on her farewell tour. I'm a Sue Bird fan 100%. As a point guard growing up, how can you not be? But, like, seeing her farewell compared to other farewells
Right.
like Sylvia
Sylvia
Fowles and
Fowles.
W and how they were treated, it's the same repeated pattern over and over again. The difference this time is more eyes are watching, more people are critical, and more people are willing to put their dollar signs behind Caitlin Clark in a way we haven't seen before. So you're going to have more conversations and zeitgeist about it. Now, I want to hear what you have to say about this whole notion that there are people hating on Caitlin Clark, though. Of course, any level of success at a high level, there's going to be haters.
Of course.
But let's break that down. Like, why do we think that narrative has entered the mainstream? Who's responsible for it? And where do they get any of their bases?
So, like you said, I mean, there's really got to be a little bit of hateration in the dancery if you're doing your thing. And so haters were going to come. Caitlin Clark had haters in college. It wasn't like this is a new thing, but the level at which people are quote unquote hating or said to be haters has been exacerbated. Do I think, just to answer your question clearly, are people just hating on Caitlin Clark to hate on her? Absolutely not. Now, there may be a small demographic of people that are doing so, but mostly I would say W fans who have been W fans for a long time are not just hating on Caitlin Clark. But similar to the points you just mentioned about her being white, her being marketable, her all of these things, it's like, okay, I've seen all of my favorite players or people that I've been watching for years who are just as good as this player, if not better, get less. And it's like, okay, why is that happening? And so I think a lot of times what we're seeing is that little bit of jadedness from fans. If anything, it's not necessarily hateration on Caitlin Clark. It's more so hating the system, hating the powers at be, hating how things are structured more so than actually hating on Caitlin Clark herself. Now, I also think that it just stems from the fact that a lot of the new fans, quote unquote, or people are just not familiar with the level of talent in the W. And so you're coming into a new league or a new space not knowing how difficult something is. And so they're thinking that Caitlin Clark is going to be able to have a smooth transition or a transferable game directly from college and that she should be putting up the same type of numbers, same type of stat lines in this new league. And so what they're kind of coming from is a place of disappointment. It's like, they don't want to place their anger on Caitlyn, but so they wanna place it on other fans or on other players or on whoever else. So it's like a misdirection of what's going on, instead of just taking what's going on at face value. That this is a difficult league. It's the best women's basketball league in the world. There's only 144 roster spots. I don't know how many times we can freaking say it. And so it's gonna take some time for her to make adjustments and, be the Caitlin Clark that we know. And she may never get back to that same place she was in college just because it's a different level of competition. Not saying that she won't improve, but it just may never be at that level that it was. Also, because you have to think about all the other factors that go into it. You have roster construction. Caitlin Clark was a star at her school. She chose to stay home at Iowa.
Mhm,
Now you're on a team with people who were also number one picks, who
mhm.
also were stars on their team. So it's just like, we can't make you the only sole 1A option when we have 1B who is just as good or,
The
so on
top
and so forth.
134 out of thousands, right?
Exactly.
Um, I wanna kind of go into another nuance I've noticed with this thing, which is like a gender one, because
Hmm.
it's there, and it's not even close. Because we know what Charles Barkley said the other day about shame on those women who are hating on Caitlin Clark and the W. That comment and that narrative, I've seen it a couple of times. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it in response, even when Cheryl Swoops had comments about Caitlin Clark, some of which were inaccurate, some of which were not. But the
Exactly.
response was overwhelmingly negative towards Cheryl. I've seen it when Diana Taurasi said that there would be an adjustment period, right? I think there is a tendency when people make honest comments, and I think I'll add something there, like what Diana said, or even what Sue Bird said. She has a lethal weapon in her shooting, but it's going to be an adjustment period. What Kelsey Plum said, she's incredibly talented, but there's going to be a a level of growth that's going to have to happen. Getting adjusted to the physicality is not easy for anyone. I've been there. I've been there. Right? These are people
Right.
who have been there
Speaking from experience,
from experience. Right? Why then, as an audience, do we see a trend of hype up what Charles said, discredit the women who have been there? Like when I tell you in the shoes,
literally.
like most anticipated draft picks, gone to a sucky ass team, turned it into something. Now
100.
they're having a legacy they're continuing to build. Tarasi is what, 40?
Yeah.
Maybe 42.
That's actually, she's 40 something.
42. Still hooping, right? Multiple ring.
Kelsey,
Kelsey Plum said my first year, I was trash because I had to figure this game out. It was much more physical. It was much quicker. I had to play defense on a level I wasn't used to. Quick to discredit the voices of women who have been there.
and just to even reiterate how analogous Kelsey Plum is to Caitlin Clark, you have to think about it. She went to Washington. Who the hell knew Washington in terms of women's basketball?
Mhm.
And she also was the all-time leading scorer. Like, Caitlyn broke Kelsey Plum's record. Like, let's be very
Mhm.
clear. So for Charles Barkley and other males to try to be discrediting her is crazy because if you want a comp, this is the comp of all comps, honestly. So, okay.
And to me, what Charles did, everybody knows, like, Charles does not have experience analyzing women's basketball at a high level. That's just the truth. Being given lines by your producer is one thing. Coming up with something off the rip that's uneducated is another. Either one is piss poor when you know the take is wrong. I don't think he even knows the take is wrong because he hasn't paid this much attention, right?
Exactly.
Right. He doesn't have the range for that. He barely has the range for what he does right now. But I do know one thing about Charles Barkley is he understands the internet. That's 100% true. Like, he understands. I may not have, the nitty-gritty analysis like Kenny on at this table. I may not have the ability to work the room and direct and produce this in a way that flows and keep everybody involved like Ernie. I may not have the good balance of what it's like to be the top player in doing the best thing you've ever like anyone's ever seen and being in the mindset of that person when I'm speaking from what's going on the court like Shaq. But baby, I know the internet.
Okay.
I know what one-liners will go viral. I know what will grab people's attention. I know it will spark a debate. Whether you consider me unintelligent or not, it's something to talk about. And that's his role on that show. He's a company man through and through.
Everybody has a
And he
personality
wanted
higher.
in some way to talk about Caitlin Clark in a way that would be beneficial to people paying attention to him and paying attention to that show again, which I believe is on the verge of getting cut through the efforts of a merger between NBC Universal and TNT.
TNT.
Um, so I think Charles Barkley sought opportunity, right? And what his audience loves is a guy that seems like a guy they respect, a guy they want to get a beer with, telling them shit that they intuitively feel, even though they have no proof. And what
No
a lot
facts.
of the bias we have in our society leads people to believe about women is they're not believable, they're not experts, and they're haters and dramatic and petty.
Mm. Talk about it. Wake it up.
So we got the perfect athlete to do it, the company man who's an OG in the game, who can, spew that exactly the way people want to hear it and it'll resonate. It gives them a lot of confidence to say it too.
Yeah.
And so I implore upon all of those people who are saying this and not doing it from a, educated place to actually go see a game.
Okay.
Tell me whether or not you think this is an elite level she's going to have to adjust to compared to college. Because Charles ain't been to one that I've seen in a minute. I go to
Okay.
a lot and I watch a lot. And they show the celebrities who are there. There's no way Charles Barkley is walking into any building.
And he's not on the
He's
Jumbotron.
on a Jumbotron. He even said on his own show he hadn't even been to Minnesota in years since the Timberwolves made it to the next round of the MNBA playoffs. We'll call it the MNBA here. So yeah, like shit take, but what the way it translates is clickbait, is audiences, viewers, is like beneficial to who's saying it. So I'm not surprised.
Not at all. And I think that the other thing that you were saying is just like constructive criticism is not hating. And I feel like people often misconstrue those things because a hater is someone who is simply just honestly saying stuff that is untrue or like even if it's true, they're saying it to have malicious intent. However, if you're including constructive criticism or positive or some form of the truth in with whatever you're saying, whether that's criticism, negativity, whatever, that cannot be hating. Like I cannot give you props at the same time that I'm hating on you. Like it that simply just doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
So to say that the W fans that have been here are hating on Caitlin Clark are simple it's just simply untrue because they're like, okay, she had a lot of turnovers, but she did this well, or so on and so forth. So it's just like, how are we gonna classify this as hating on Caitlin Clark when we just gave her props in some
Yeah, she had
form
a
or
lot of
fashion.
turnovers, and Cam Brink had a lot of fouls, and Angel Reese be throwing the ball to herself off the backboard low key. And it's a part of it. Like, it's a part of, what Angel said. I want to be a rookie. I want to get knocked down. I have to get back up. It's a part of learning how to be great, how to be a pro. You're going to have moments where your talent clearly shines and moments
Exactly.
where you're going to have to figure it out because you're working on developing your game to the next level so you can be consistent, night in, night out on that floor between those four lines. Like, that's what it's about. But again, like, women who are honest get the short end of the stick in media. We know that.
Yeah. And I think that people want, or how we've said it before, Caitlin Clark's fans, I don't even know what the hell they're called, are so analogous to the Barbs. Like, there can be no wrong. She can do no wrong. Like, there is no accountability in their fandom. And to me, that's a cult following. That's not being a fan. A fan can criticize and give praise, whereas a cult, it's like, no, I can't even criticize what you're doing. I'm just going to blindly follow and blindly want to support you.
Yeah. And I think another trend I'm noticing is pitting fan bases against one another
Mm,
is a method I've noticed a lot of, not even just in the media, what's happening, really in social media, a lot of accounts that are used to try to boost audience engagement do. It's a Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese thing. Or it's a Caitlin Clark, ironically, against her teammate versus Aaliyah Boston thing. Right? Like, we're trying to create these, I guess,
let's say
rivalries,
rivalries, yeah.
that are based on a narrative. And it's interesting, not just a narrative of who we think is a better player, but for some reason, when the women's players are involved, it's based off of who we don't think likes somebody else.
Else. Yep. I feel like that's why people even tuned in or were so gagged at the fact that Camilla and Angel are now teammates. And so that's a draw to it because of these rivalries. Even though we've
Mhm.
had both players come out and say, like, no, it's no beef. Like, yes, we've been playing against each other since high school, but it's just competition.
It's not personal, right?
Yeah.
Because we're in this. We're not in this for that. We're not in this for that. We play the game. We're competitors, but we're not interested in.
And what I will say is I do feel like rivalries are good. I feel like that does bring eyes to the games. It does help to grow the game. It does make it more interesting when you have genuine,
Mhm.
authentic rivalry. It's like, okay, we know that people are going to get up to watch Las Vegas and New York play. Like, you just are because it's a
Mhm.
genuine rivalry that developed through the actual play of basketball, not just
Mhm.
necessarily some fake narratives that were made up.
Mhm. And like this mob mentality of like it's it's us and our face fan base against everybody else. It's impossible to like Caitlin Clark and like Angel Reese at the same time. It's impossible to like Caitlin Clark and like Aaliyah Boston at the same time. That creating that false dichotomy is crazy.
Yeah,
That's all it is. It's
it's
just
very
crazy.
it's very nasty, and they're trying to turn it into somewhat of a race war, and some of it is valid. It's like, okay, I feel like the media has done a big job of saying that Caitlin Clark has brought in all of these fans or these new people, new eyes to the game, and they often leave out Angel, even though Angel has done the same and literally is a star in the Black community. And so I feel like fans, at least on social media, have been trying to make it a thing or a point to not in the in thought in not in an authentic way uplift Angel, but to do it because it's a verse Caitlyn kind of thing, similar to what you're saying. It's like, okay,
Yeah. Play into the tale of two Americas thing. Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised,
no.
right?
I
Um,
think about how their origin story originated. Like, it was the same thing. It's like the tale of two Americas. One, a white girl can do something and a black girl cannot do the exact same thing. And what does that look like? So
like who get and who would get praise for it as opposed to punishment, right? Like,
exactly.
I love Caitlin Clark to death. These technical fouls ain't cute. We gotta get that together.
DT Jr.
No facts. She never learned though, Lord.
Mm,
I think it's critical for people who have been here to focus on what brought you here in the first place and not driving and spending so much energy trying to counter these narratives from new onlookers who are not genuinely invested. There's plenty of people who are new and genuinely invested. There's plenty of young girls who are new to this and genuinely invested that deserve the best product possible and to learn about it from people who have the best intentions possible.
Yes.
So I guess my whole point in even having this segment and us having this segment is to just let's keep pushing how great these players are, how interesting this, these growing pain situations are for the W and what we're excited about. And like, let a lot of these, just loser bird boys that are on the internet talking shit but don't really give a fuck about basketball. Like, just let them fizzle out because they keep saying, I'm going to delete my league pass and stop watching. The less you
Okay.
watch, the less you should have to say, fine. Like, I want it to grow organically and I want it to grow with keeping that same, like, aura of positivity that it's had. Like, we all have been able in the past, I've noticed, to identify the criticisms of the system that are there, but then move on to what's good. And now
Exactly.
it seems like we're festering in this bubble of her
Negativity.
versus her versus me versus them. It's just crazy. It's just negativity. So, hell no.
And so I think like just to say, like, we're not saying that new fans or people shouldn't come for different various reasons. I think that that's super important. I feel like we
Right.
push that all the time. Like I say to some of my friends who are not interested in women's basketball, but they become for so many different reasons. Like they want to look at the tunnel fits. It's like, okay, if that's what draws you in, that's totally fine. But don't stay for a negative reason. It's just to me, I always just think about it like church. Like they always like say, "Come as you are," and then like you stay for like you find different reasons to stay, whether that's for community, whether that's for the message, for the music, or whatever. And so I feel like that sentiment applies here. It's like, okay, sure, you want to come for the fits. The girls do be dressing. I'm not mad at that. You come for the drama. Okay, I'm not mad at that either. I am a reality TV stan, girly. So I love a little tea, but I also can recognize and fell in love with the hoop. So it's like, okay, yeah, come in for these other reasons, but stay because the product is good.
Yeah, the divisiveness is not cute. Like,
Right.
trying to bask in the reflected glory of someone is one thing,
Mm,
but trying to use them as your like coat and armor. Oh, I'm on shit. I'm about to start a war with these next bands over here. They ain't shit. Grow up,
please.
please, expeditiously.
And I also think it's important to say, like, with all these new fans and new eyes coming in, like you said, negativity, I feel like it's just bringing a negative air to what used to be a, not even I want to say a safe space, where like W Twitter really was the space where true W fans could come and have community and talk about like what's going on in the league from the actual play to the players to, everything, the whole women's basketball universe. But now I feel like it's so infested or it's becoming infested with the negativity. It makes it hard to even want to be in that community and enjoy it because there's people that are disingenuous that are in the community. Like this week, we never like people have always had speculations or they'll have like a quick key about players or who's dating or whatever, but intentionally outing people, come on, like we have to do better. The W community was not giving that prior to this season and this new wave of people. So it's like, okay, yeah, come on in. We want to welcome you with open arms, but you better come with some sense if you're coming in here. Cause I don't like it. It's
Yeah.
negative.
Okay. And I think it's one thing to talk about it from that perspective, but think about like because of the rapid growth we've experienced in the space, a lot of these players were used to having a level of anonymity. They're still
Mm,
public figures, don't get me
right.
wrong, but a lot of them were pretty much used to having a level of anonymity. Credit that to the media for not really paying attention. That now, like, they don't have.
Uh,
And so, like, the level of hatred and vitriol going 0 to 100 that a lot of these folks are experiencing now, I can't imagine. It's ridiculous.
it's
You know?
insane because think about how we were saying that the league itself was not ready for this growth, like in
Yeah.
terms of like how to handle rollouts, tickets, all of that thing, having to move arenas. So it's the same thing that applies to players. It's like, okay, this growth has been, constantly going on, but this rapid shift, like you are saying, like it just translate into their personal lives, how they need to move. Like some people need to move with security, some people need to lock those Instagrams up, get a fence that, you just can't move how you used to
Right.
move. So
Right.
it's an adjustment, but it still doesn't excuse people for being vicious.
Right. The internet is not your friend,
Period.
but for those who can have some fucking sense, do it. That's all. It's not that hard. Also,
Yeah.
y'all are a little too obsessed with who's sleeping with who, in my opinion.
Yeah, to beat merch, I live for a good key. I live for the tea, but at the same time, yikes! Like,
Yeah. Yeah. A
come on,
little bit obsessive.
it's a beat
Right.
merch. Okay, so we implore on all of you, our listeners, people that will take clips from this, whoever hears this, to ask yourself, why are you here? Like,
Mhm.
why am I watching women's basketball? Why am I watching the WNBA? And just have a little self check in and make sure that even if you came for one reason, that you're staying because you enjoy the product of these amazing women and their talents that they have to offer. So, why is you here? Well, thanks for listening, y'all. This was another great Kiki. Make sure you guys comment, like, subscribe, follow us on all our socials at the Nasty Work Pod on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, the whole nine. And I'm Nia Senior, my amazing co-host as always, Coach Slop, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Toodles.
Peace.